I have a problem with people that make their money in a way that they think they're not smart enough, not intuitive enough, not creative enough to create a product and service that people want and creates wealth that way. Instead, they're doing it the wrong way. They're cheating, they're lying, putting makeup on something, dumping it on innocent people. And that unfortunately happens quite often in the markets. And I want to use this episode to shout out to people that we in the markets need to protect the markets from people like that. We need to fight against that. There's two names I want to call out. One is Wework, the other is Steve Cohen and his former hedge fund. They're both still in the markets. They're not behind bars. They're still able to do business in that way. They're not smart enough. They're not intuitive enough. They're not creative enough to make money the right way by creating products and services that are useful for people, better for society, better, cheaper. Instead, they're going around and they're holding us fools, particularly now with the Wework situation where they got funded by Andreessen Horowitz, which in my view is just a sarcasm on their side, to say the least, that they're funding something like that. But anyway, that's a different podcast episode on its own. All I want to say is the following. There's a right way and a wrong way to do business. And what I mean with wrong is simply if you think you're not smart enough, not intuitive enough and creative enough to create a product and service that is good for people, that is better and cheaper so more and more people want to buy it. Instead, you're trying to push papers around and keep innocent people, hold innocent people accountable for investments that they lose and then call it something like, oh, it was the market or it wasn't me or something, or even worse. Well, you could have, if you could have gotten out of on time. If that's your strategy, that's the wrong way. The right way is something like Tesla, where you start with fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices, and then you build a business around that. You build scale, you lower the cost, you increase the value, and you keep doing that. You iterate that in a Popperian way, and you create a better business. That is the better business. Duty to protect that, and that's why I'm doing this episode, because I want to do my part here. As member of the financial markets, member of the society, it is my duty to not just follow our purpose, which is generate wealth by investing in fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices. It's also my duty to leave a better place for the next generation. It's my duty as a hedge fund manager, my duty as a man to protect against threats. And I believe this is a threat. And hence this podcast. This is a Not Even Wrong podcast. It's October 26, 2022. This is Krim Delco. For the day, the fund is up 70 basis points. For the market is down 70 basis points. For the year, we're down 45.7%. The market is down 18%. We're underperforming by 27.7%. So let's talk about this particular subject and let's build it up first. So what's happening here? There are certain situations. I just met a friend and spoke with him about, let's say, a situation. The story is this. Let me just elaborate the story. Why not? Let me give the whole story. I think it's better for listeners to understand. So there's apparently a TV show called Billions, which portrays the life of Steve Cohen. And I believe that no matter how good or bad the show is, what the script is and all that, I think it's atrocious that people like that even get eternalized in Hollywood, even if it's a bad picture for them. And very similarly, the story about Wework and the guy who ran that place. Again, there's, I think, a documentary, and I believe that it is the duty of anybody in the financial markets to protect the financial markets and point people like that out. Say that, look, what they're doing is, first, it's definitely illegal, but they got away, I guess, with enough money and enough lawyers, you can get away with these things, but at least we can protect the financial markets from wrongdoing. In a nutshell, there are two ways to make money. There's the way that you build a business that is not providing the right product and service to win, and therefore you need to use other means to make money in the markets, deceive people, try to talk up the stock price and then get out on time. Like, for example, the notion in Wework, my friend who was an investor in Wework just told me, well, I got enough on time, so I made money, which is a terrible statement. Investing is not supposed to be about the timing when you get out of things. Investing is supposed to be about building long-term value and not about when to get out. So the other way, the right way, is that you're smart enough, intelligent enough, humble enough, hardworking enough to build a product and service that people want to buy, and then you create value through that. This is the way I see the world, and I want to protect that kind of world. I want to be part of that kind of world. I want to I want to share that world with my kids and my future generations. And this is why I think it's my duty. I think as a man, it's my duty to protect people from violence, from wrongdoing, be it on the street, if a child or a woman gets attacked, even a man that looks like he can't defend himself, it is my duty to intervene. I'm sorry, it might sound sexist. I don't care. I'm a big fan of Farah Sahibi, or I'm sorry, I'm butchering his name now, the coach of Georges St-Pierre, MMA coach. He says that on his podcast all the time. It's a duty of a man to train and be ready to fight to protect other people. It's just the way it is. Ask Ukrainians about this. Ask people in Taiwan how they feel about this. Anybody who is really on the threat, when the push comes to shove, when there is no more time for academics and philosophy, when it's about, it's me or you kind of thing, it's the man who has to step up. If you're home and sleeping next to your loved one, and your kids are in the other room, and there's a breaking glass, and somebody breaks in your house, it's the man who has to stand up and take care of business. It's not nobody else, and it's not 911. Certainly not. You can call 911, of course, and you should, but maybe it's too late by the time they come. So you have to be able to take care of business. And I think this whole situation with the financial markets, it's not as serious in the sense that I don't think we're in a 911 situation. I think we can survive with people like Wework and Steve Cohen in the markets, because we did survive. They came, they went, they even coming back. Both Steve Cohen has an office on Sand Hill Road, very close to Andreessen Horowitz, the same Andreessen Horowitz that funded the guy from Wework, and for his next project, which is another snake oil project, the same way Wework was a snake oil project. Now, why was Wework a snake oil project? Let me elaborate what I mean. I'm not against startups or businesses that fail. Actually, a lot of businesses that start fail. That's okay. That's normal. What I don't like is if you start a business, which is you buy a building and then you rent office space and you make a certain margin on that, and then you start calling it something else, collaborative work or shared work or whatever they called it, and you start hyping it up as something like you have data and you kind of have a different angle and network effect and all of that, excuse my French, bullshit that comes with it, when in fact there was a competitor called Revus doing the same exact thing, had a certain amount of margin, had a certain amount of return on capital and all of that stuff. And they even, if you talk to them, they would tell you, look, we don't know how they can justify the kinds of valuations that they have. And we don't know how they can justify the kinds of projections that they're making and all of that stuff. So when you have a business that is just not returning the kinds of returns that you're projecting, that doesn't have the fundamental DNA to be a good business, then don't go out and raise money based on some sort of snake oil valuation. That's the wrong thing. I have nothing against a guy who starts a melted cheese sandwich shop next to another melted cheese sandwich shop, who tells me, look, I'm going to try to compete. I'm probably not going to make money, but I'm going to give it a shot. It's fine. I might fund the guy, I might not fund the guy. There's nothing wrong with trying. There's nothing wrong with the guy who came to Hollywood and said, why don't we make movies here? Oh, it's crazy. You can't do that. Are you crazy? It's 1910 or whatever. You don't even know what a camera is. You have no idea what you're doing. And you want to make movies? Well, let's give it a start. Well, they gave a start. And lo and behold, the whole movie industry started. I have no problem with the guy who wants to start an electric car company in 2002 and succeeds and becomes Tesla. In fact, this is what we do. We invest in fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices. You can also say we invest in crazy people with crazy ideas. That's what we do. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with Sand Hill Road looking for unique people, 0 to 1 type people that come across as dropouts and crazy people, and they start businesses. There's nothing wrong with companies like Slack that start with a good product, have a good business, and then somehow get derailed by competition. I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. But my problem is, if you start a company, and okay, I'm going to call out another company, Uber. You start a company like Uber, and you tell me you're changing the world, you're doing something completely new. Uber is just an overhyped taxi service where the main cost of Uber is still the labor and the depreciation of the car, and they haven't changed one iota about that. So don't tell me you're changing the world, because the only way you're going to change the world is by lowering the cost and increasing the value. And that hasn't been done with Wework, it hasn't been done with Uber, it hasn't been done with Lyft, it's not being done with Instacart, and so on and so forth. A lot of these former unicorns that are all collapsing now, thanks God to Jay Powell raising rates and finishing all that. He did it for other reasons, it doesn't matter. Often in economics, one thing happens for another reason, and in the end, what matters is that it happens and that we have the markets actually functioning. So again, I just want to emphasize the thing. What is it I actually want? I want people to use their smarts and hard work and be humble and creative and risk-taking and build products and services that are better and cheaper than competitive products. This is what I want people to do. I don't want people to go out and build the same thing, put some makeup on it, and then pretend to do something new, and then go around and say, "Oh, I'm changing the world." This is why I'm so much against, let's say, what happened with Wework and what's happening even today. We have the same snake oil is being shoved around in the Web3 space. I am not necessarily a Bitcoin maximalist, but I do agree with the Bitcoin maximalists that a lot of the coins are shit coins, in a sense that there's nothing new and special about them. Also, what is the products and services that they're really offering? What are NFTs? All of that stuff. I have my issues with that. I am not against. I'm not calling for, let's say, regulation to prohibit that. By no means. Let it happen. Just let's be clear about who is doing it the right way and who is doing it the wrong way, and let's go punish. Let's go after the guys who are doing it the wrong way. And in fact, somebody asked me the other day, "Are you happy with your situation in life and all of that?" And I kind of thought about this, and it is a good question. I said, I'm very happy where I stand in terms of my career, my family, my business. I'm happy about that. The one thing I would like, I said, is I should have started building the money-making muscle a bit earlier. And why? Well, hopefully I would have more money and wealth today. And why? Then the question came, well, why do you need more wealth? And the answer is because it's a good question. And the answer is not the one that most people expect. I don't want a bigger house or anything. I already live in the most expensive zip code in the United States, in a fantastic, fantastic building. My son has everything he needs to succeed in life. My wife is happy, her family is happy, my family is happy. There's nothing I miss or lack financially, but there's one thing that I would like to have more wealth to go after these guys who are threatening the markets. I find the financial markets maybe the most important thing that we have in society to keep us in check, to keep bad things from happening. The financial markets are kind of what the Bitcoin people are propagating Bitcoin to be, which is this decentralized, unauthorized, self-propagating system that is doing good, that is free, it's free choice. You don't have to apply it, you don't have to use it, but you can use it if you want, and it's very helpful if you use it. So that's kind of the way I see the financial markets. And the purpose of this particular episode is to protect, to do my part in order to protect that. And therefore, I'm giving an argument that you can use in a conversation. Tomorrow, somebody comes to you and says, look, I'm going to fund this guy from Wework. He has this new thing. It doesn't matter what it is. It sounds good. It's fancy. It has crypto in it, Web3. Why don't you put some money? I am sure we'll be able to flip it and get out before the whole thing falls apart. When you hear something like that, the answer should be, I don't want to be part of this because I want people to use their smarts. I want people to be humble. I want people to be hardworking and build products and services that people actually want to buy, that are useful, and that are also at lower cost, so more and more people can use it. This is not some sort of communist manifesto or anything like that. This is the fundamental driving force, the driving vector of capitalism. If there is anything that capitalism actually is, or if there's a raison d'etre of capitalism, then this is it, that it proliferates good things to more people faster, and therefore also increases the wealth of those people who do it. And those people who are trying to piggyback or free ride on top of that by faking their products, by putting makeup on something and then trying to flip it in the market, those people need to be called out and, in my view, also punished. But I'm not a big government guy, so let's put the government and punishment and prison aside. Let's just call it out. Let's embarrass them. Because a lot of times these people, they're actually more interested in status than anything else. So let's just embarrass them. If you can't make money the right way, if all you can do is do this stupid, cheat, catch me if you can, make it till you fake it type of thing, well, that's fine. But you know what? You should be embarrassed by yourself. You should be humble enough to at least admit that you're stupid enough, that you're not smart enough to do it the right way. Somebody like Tesla, Elon Musk in particular, is building rockets that hopefully can take us to Mars. He's already built rockets that can be reused. He's lowered the cost of launching satellites. He has created Starlink, which has shown its value at the least in the Ukraine. And he has built a company called Tesla that is giving us a fantastic car at a very good price. He's built a software that works pretty well already in terms of self-drive and is going to get better and better. So he's done all these things, and that's why we're buying the cars. We're not buying the cars because they're good for the environment or anything like that. That's a nice additive. And in fact, it's not even clear if Teslas are good for the environment, but at least they're making us a little bit less dependent on oil, which is a good thing. And it showed how good it is right now, where we can charge the car for free versus other people have to, pay a lot of money for gas. So it's showing its value. That's the kind of stuff that particularly Silicon Valley and the sort of venture capital entrepreneurship of Silicon Valley has been promising to us for ages. And we want to continue with that. And people like Wework, Steve Cohen, and Uber, and all of these companies, they're not good for that. They're damaging the reputation, they're damaging the functioning of that market. Again, I want to distinguish between failures and cheats. Failures are okay. The more failures, the better. This is what Popper says. You try, you fail, you error correct. Cheats are different. And yes, maybe if you take it to the extreme, you can say the cheat is just another way to try, but I disagree. If you fundamentally start with the premise of not creating a product and service that is better and cheaper, if all you're trying to do is paint it in a way with reputation, and Andreessen Horowitz has invested, so it has to be good, and all of that bullshit, excuse my French, then you're going to end up like Alphabet with their bets, not make any money, not produce anything, and just be a perpetual argument that is adjustable. A perpetually adjustable argument. That's what Alphabet is. And that's what something like Andreessen Horowitz is turning into if they keep investing in companies like that second knockoff of Wework. So to summarize, again, this episode is a little bit of a call out, a shout out to everybody who shares the wish and the need and the hope that we can protect the financial markets, which is our duty as participants in the financial markets, particularly men, need to protect whatever is dear to them. And to me, financial markets are dear. I protect them by shouting out to people and explaining that the wrong way to participate in financial markets is to build a product and service based on fluff, based on snake oil, instead of using your smarts, a humble, hardworking approach towards building something which is better and cheaper, so more and more people can enjoy it. That's how free markets actually work. That's how it's supposed to work. That's how Silicon Valley capitalism is supposed to deliver value, not the way that you just paint something, make it look good, and then dump it on the market. Investing is not about when to get out. Investing is about to get in and stay there for as long as you can and accumulate as many shares as you can. That's what investing is supposed to be. And those types of people, again, I pointed them out in this podcast many times, those types of people are doing the exact opposite. They're making it much harder for you to hold on because you can't trust anymore what you're seeing, and that's bad, and that's why I'm shouting out. And I am obviously on the other side of this fence where I believe that there is enough room for innovation, for fundamentally new concepts and engineering practices with smart people that apply hard work, intelligence, and creativity towards a better future. Thank you.